In 2023, Tom Wagner, the head of the Shelby Company, took over Birmingham, and the American brought friends to his championship club, including NFL star Tom Brady and Wayne Rooney. He came in as coach, but if you're a fan of football, you will realise that went a little bit wrong, damaging the club and setting them up for relegation to the 3rd tier. And Birmingham City, they do not deserve it at all. A brilliant club, rich in history. So today I'm going to step in and try and right the wrongs of Rooney and win the Champions League. As here we go, guys. Cannot wait for this rebuild. Wayne Rooney walking back into Birmingham. And I'm only joking, guys. I am only joking.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
It's me, in fact, in charge, and I'm not going to let that happen to you, but in order to stay in charge, I've been given a contract by the new owners, and the first thing on that contract is to sign 3 USA players. That's due to the links of the ownership, of course, but then we can only spend half of the budget. That's within the first 3 seasons of this rebuild, as the new owners have plans for a new stadium. And in order to finance that stadium, we cannot spend all the money, as the final objective is to win that Champions League. And I am very hyped for this rebuild. We are in League One, and that means we've only got a small budget. And we are going to half that, of course, giving us 3 million. It's not the best, but the squad is very good. Nevertheless, for this division, we've got a lot of good players, a lot of high-rated players. Stansfield's only on loan. Of course, he's gone back in real life, but because I've got him in this save, I am going to try and use it, as I'm going to try use his strengths. We're going to go counter-attack. We're not going to pick a winger formation, as we have no wingers. As I'm going to go with this formation, and let's be honest, with the players we have, we should be winning this division. But of course, it's not that simple, as when you check the nationalities, you can see there is no one from the USA. And that means we're going to need some American players, as the positions that I'm thinking, looking at that list, it's obvious. A new goalkeeper, and definitely a young goalkeeper, along with a striker, as the only permanent one we have is this man, Lukas Jukovic, who has a lot of history at Birmingham, but once Stansfield's gone, we don't want to be playing him. And that's why we need to get some fresher faces in here, as the goalkeeper Chris Brady, he's the first one I want. But we're going to have to pay his release clause. That is not good. I mean, we are going to do it, but we're going to run out of money. But I've still gone ahead and signed him. That is our first American in, but in order to get more, we've got to sell some players. And here we go. We've got a lot of business done right here. Not only just selling players, but loaning youngsters out. And a lot of the players we've got out are the aging players like Scott Hogan, getting rid of a bit of deadwood, as that's took our tally up to £4 million. And we've got to be careful with that, getting 2 USA players in, as these are the 2 I've selected. Maximilian Dietz, one of the centre-backs we needed, and also a striker, as he goes by the name of Nicholas Giorgini, and I've got him into the club alongside Dietz, as that is our team complete now. 3 American youngsters, and I'm feeling very good about this season if we can start off by winning, as ultimately that is the aim. We want to win this title. Come on, Birmingham. Just get the job done, as I have simulated all the way till the end of the season, expecting to see the team in the top 2. But us and Huddersfield, the 2 teams that were relegated, finishing 9th and 10th, which are 2 big failures. How can we let Blackpool win the league, man? They are a good team, but we should be better, as we were beaten in the round of 16 of the FA Cup and round 2 of the Carabao to West Ham. Any luck in the BSM, we were beaten on penalties by Tranmere Rovers, who are in League 2, telling me this squad is definitely not finished, and I tell you what, it's very unhappy and very low on players. At the start of the year, I took a gamble to loan players out, and I might have accidentally loaned a bit more than I should have. Oh well, they've grown George Hall up to 69 and Jordan James. Them 2 will be involved next year. There's also a man who should have been involved more is Christian Bielik, who I am going to change the position of to a centre-back, and he's got a +2, a 75 rated now. in the 3rd tier. As looking at the stats, Gioacchini, he has gone up to a 71 rated at only 23 years old. But our top scorer at the club was the midfield maestro, Paik Seung-ho, getting 22. Okay, so not as we expected, as Jordan James coming back and feeding straight into that team. He's one player I do want in, but another player is George Hall, and I'm thinking, what's his best position that suits our formation? As we've got a few cams at the club, and I am going to change the positions. I don't want an attacking midfielder. I want a DM. It just suits us better. So Connor Hall's going to be trained to a striker, Pritchard to a centre mid, and Hall to a right-hand-sided player. Do think that's the best, as we've got 8 million, but of course we're going to half that, giving us 4 million, as this is going to be tough again. However, we've got our American players, so that is something we're not required to go for. As long as they stay at the club, as we've got one player going, Neil Etheridge, right? We could do with a backup keeper. And I think this is a better time than any to start an academy now, and Louis Hopkins, you know, I might just make him the backup. We've got to give chances to players to try and find the new, maybe Jude Bellingham, Job, whoever can play the best. Who, you know what? I'm kind of looking at signing, but we've got our young midfielders, and I'm going to give them a chance. As I've gone with the USA players for quite young quality, this time, Kellyn Acosta is an older one. Heading into his prime, but again, another release clause, and you know what? I'm kind of willing to pay it. I don't know. I've just got a good feeling about this one, and we're selling Pritchard, so we're not entirely skinned. Making a bit of money back as Kellyn. Welcome. We've now got 4 American players, so we can risk losing one. As he jumps in the team, and we might have to risk losing one, because Dietz can come out now, and we can play Sanderson, who is a brilliant swap. As speaking of swaps, Tyler Roberts, now he's trained as a backup striker. And George Hall, he's going to go to a 70 rated now as a right-hand-sided midfielder, which just might push him in the squad ahead of Miyoshi, as please, George, don't let us down this year. As end of the season, you could say he hasn't let us down, but still, it's an underwhelming playoff place. Swansea won the league, and Huddersfield still in the playoffs as they won the BSM. They're a team to be scared of. And of course, it's a team we face as round 4 of the Carabao and FA Cup, beaten in a replay by Cardiff again. Cheers, Cardiff, ruining our hopes and dreams there, as there's some unhappy faces, including Georgie Hall. And I'm guessing that's due to game time, although we did play 30 games, but Miyoshi playing 40 and outscoring the youngster. No one to blame there, George, apart from yourself, as the first leg against Huddersfield, we do get the win, as it was Siriki Dembele with the first goal for us. I was thinking about binning him as we reach the final, as we now one step away from Championship football, and Stockport County, we should be beating them. It is a League 2 club in real life who just got promoted, and their squad still looks like that. As please, Birmingham, we smash them 4-1. Pike with a few goals, Laird with the other, and then Bakunya. A brilliant result for Tom Wagner and co, as Birmingham City back to the 2nd tier. A very nice victory for a very nice team on paper, but we're still going to have to spend if we had to survive. Or maybe not survive, but keep on progressing, as this is the final season, season number 3 of halving the budget, which is 12 million, taking us to 6 million now. And that's a lot better, because we'll have contracts to sign, including Christian Bielik, who's one of our best players at the club. Who is our best player? It is actually him, but he is joint with Pike, who's been a very big surprise to me. Didn't expect him to be that good, alongside a lot of these lads who just seem to perform. But it's the defense you can see, and also the wingers. George Hall, I want to progress, but if he isn't progressing, and same with Siriki Dembele, I will get rid of them, as we need to look for a lot more fluid players now, and I'm going to change to, I can't go wing play, maybe tiki-taka, as I'd appreciate if this worked. As another thing I'd appreciate, if you haven't done already, please subscribe and drop a like. Trying to grow the channel and trying to grow this team, as one player I've found, and I wasn't even looking at the free agents, is Nathan Redmond. Now, the reason I found him is because he's an ex-Birmingham player. He has played for them before. So without further ado, Nath, welcome back. Gonna have to change the colour of the tape that he had on his wrist. I'm not having any red. Get it switched to blue, as that is one winger. But the other winger I want to sign is Caleb Wiley, who is a Manchester United player, also American, and that is just coincidence, costing 3.5 million. We should be able to afford that. As welcome to the club, costing most of our money. But now we've gotten another American, I've got a plan. And that plan is to make Brady our backup, because I've got another keeper in mind, another free agent. But it is Jack Butland, another ex-player as well, just like Redmond. Spent a season or two at Birmingham, as that should be that. I know he's another old keeper, but he's experienced, and he's just had a good season at Rangers. And you never know, maybe Brady will be able to push him out at one point, but we needed a good keeper for the championship, as now we've got a good full round team. And can we compete with these lads? As I've no idea what to expect, but I've started at the bottom. You can see Lincoln City. Goodbye, the Imps. Bottom of the championship table, and we must have finished top half. We finished in the playoffs. Cardiff City missing out. That is the revenge for the Cups last year out, as we've got Preston in the semis. Very interesting to see how this matchup's going to go, as in the Cups, any luck? Nothing in the Carabao. Saw my club Grimsby Town in the quarterfinals there, as in the FA Cup. Oh, we actually lost a derby. But also at the same time, a lot of unhappy faces and a few transfer listed players don't like that. So let's hope it doesn't affect us going into this first leg. Preston finished very well, but Nathan Redmond scores, giving us an advantage. But we don't have a striker to go to Deepdale with. But we still win it. Get in there, Blues. But the final's going to be no easy game. Hull City, who sacked their manager in real life for not getting into those playoffs, as they've got some good players. Andy Smith in the defence, Walter Maid up front, very good young player, not forgetting Philogene on the wing for them. But we go and beat them, meaning that Birmingham City have torn up the championship, going through it just like that, and picking up another playoff trophy. What an achievement! But yes, I do feel a little bit like our team's a Luton. Very low rating still. They're not up there entirely. They're good enough for this division, but there's some old players here, and that's worrying. One thing that isn't worrying though, and it has been brilliant timing, the £56 million we get to spend. And that's right, we get to spend all of it because Tom Wagner has now finished building his new stadium, as that hopefully means more revenue. Of course, it won't in FC24, but yes, that objective's done. There's only one to tick off now, and that's winning the Champions League. But of course, we've got to be careful keeping 3 Americans in the team, and we just have 3. In Acosta, Giorgini, and Wiley, who hasn't had the best of seasons, now being the same rating as Hall, and Hall is the same age. Oh dear. Oh dearie me. That hasn't worked at all, as speaking of working, we've got to make our money work for us. This is the first player. Sebastian Boselli has room to grow and not that expensive, coming from River Plate as well. As that's the Uruguayan in, a new Premier League centre-half who's quite young, for 14 million. That is a steal, as now the weakest players in the team is Bacuna, Redmond, and of course that man Wiley, who, if we are to replace, will require an American in his position. And I think I know who. That's right, the big man, Giovanni Reina. What a statement of intent this would be for an American owner. As we don't have much money to afford him though, you can see the budget's at 40 million maximum right now. So maybe very controversial, but I am going to include Caleb Wiley going the other way with that 40 million. But oh no, they are going to put that price up. I don't think we're going to get him, guys. I think he's a lost cause. So instead, we're going to go for the slightly lower rated version, Kevin Paredes, who's at Sporting Club Freiburg. As can we get him through the door? No. He rejects us as well. Can we get this man a free agent? Please let someone join. Yeah, at least this man hasn't rejected us. Shio Fukuda. He's going to be the backup striker with a bit of potential in the bag. As it's third time lucky looking for this American player, and this one's a well-known name, Timothy Weah, as he won't shy from the challenge of Birmingham City, the 79 rated only costing 17 million. As we've gone ahead and picked up this man, Leonardo Buta, a left back for the bench, being very cheap from Millwall, and also this man Dardai, the Hungarian beast, who's 77 rated and only costs 10 mil. A steal on a player who is 77 rated, could do a job at centre-back as well as CDM. And I want to test him out, see how he does in the Premier League, as our first game back is going to be Southampton, which is a tester, as if we are to survive, we have to be beating teams like this. As yes, guys, do you think we've survived or not in this top division with the Blues? Didn't look a good last day to the season, losing to Chelsea, which I am wearing the kit of. If you do want to get any kits like this, link in the description to Soccer Deals Shop, and use MWS10 at checkout. But seriously, we've got to highlight the game before that. We lost to Aston Villa 2-0 in the biggest derby of all, and drew to them 2-2 earlier on in the season, in a month where we beat Chelsea and Tottenham. That gives me hope, and that hope is good, because we survived in the Premier League by 6 points. And we deserved it looking at the stats. Fulham drawing too many games, sending them down, and keeping the Blues up. But of course, in the long run, that is not what we want at all. We've got some decent ratings, some 80s in the squad. But there's one man in particular that I'm looking at that needs to come out immediately. A 33-year-old Redmond, who, to probably no one's surprise, is retiring at the end of the season. I thank him for the promotion help last year in the Championship, and we should have a good replacement. We've got a 30-year-old Miyoshi, but of course, George Hall, who submitted a transfer request. I'll need to look into that one. As our top scorer in the division, we had 28 goals from Nicolas Gioacchini, which is a brilliant tally. In fact, both American players who are attackers being top scorers at the club. Okay, so survival in season number 1 in the Premier League. Just what we wanted, but I didn't like the margins. To be so close to going down tells me something has to change if we are to build up, and of course go for the Champions League. And I'm not joking, guys. I think we change position. I might want to go wing play this time, as one formation that fits it. And I know it's 5 at the back, but the 5-2-3, hear me out on this one. I believe it can work. We get Buchanan trained up. Laird can already play right wing back. Dardai can play centre-back, but what I want to do is move him into midfield. I don't think he'll take too long to train as an actual centre-mid already. If we shore up the defence, we are sure to be higher than 17th, as 44 million. Don't have to half it. That's the best thing about this season, and I have a player in mind that can be strong at the back. And that is this man, a 33-year-old, yes, but John Stones, England general in the defence, who of course I'm going to waste no time in signing a new number 5 with international experience. So with him in the club and Dardai now training to be a centre-back, it does push Dietz to the reserves. Or actually, not just the reserves, it pushes him out of the squad altogether. That is an American sold, which rings some alarm bells. So in order to diffuse the situation of losing an American, we are going to bring in Jack McGlynn, who has a contract expiring, and he's already better than Acosta at a 79 rating, this guy, at only 24, which has me loving this team. Jack Butland's lasted a while. The only low-rated player in the team is George Hall, who we've trained as a right winger and doesn't go up one, but we've changed a lot of positions that you will see shortly. Or actually, there's a few that's already made it. Ethan Laird to a right wing back, Bacuna to a centre mid, and Dardai to a centre back. And it all looks like it is coming together. An 8th place finish is a lot better than 17th. You don't even need me to say it, as is that continental football? I don't believe so. I just think we've missed out. As hang about as well. Who's that at the top of the league? Leicester City have won it. They started in the Championship, as they're also in an FA Cup final as well. As congratulations to them, guys. And we did terribly in the Carabao. Bournemouth beating us. As that squad, though, it is a lot better than expected. We've got a lot of 80 rateds in here, including even one on the bench. That is good, you know, because if we're really struggling for money next year, we just sell Dardai. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, though. What a good season. Timothy Weah, you know. He is the man of the moment, but he was actually outscored by George Hall, who I'm thinking of replacing next season to get better. Oh, and going into this next season, there is no continental success on the board, but the domestic success, however. Tim Wagner and co expect a European finish, which I want to deliver. It's the least our lads deserve, as looking at the squad, I'm thinking Butland, mate. Maybe your time to go. But like I said, George Hall as well. I know he's been scoring goals, but if we've got a big budget, it's got to be him replaced. He can go on the bench, as it's 60 smackaroos. That is enough to spend on 2 of the players that I want. With the first one being someone who's never left my head, Giovanni Reina. Hear me out on this one. If we're building a squad that requires USA internationals, why not go and get the best one, as we're offering Caleb Wiley? But no, they don't want him. But they have come up with a good offer, which I will accept, hopefully getting him in. As we do just that, walking through the training ground doors. As speaking of training, he's gotta become a right wing. If he does, his position's on lock. As we've only got 6 million left though, his contract was expensive, so we've got to get rid of some players. And that's exactly what we've done. With players such as Acosta and Jack Butland himself, we've got no starting keeper. But we do have £29 million now, and that's without selling Dardai to go and find a new one. And this is where this man comes into the equation. Stefano Turati, an 82 rated, who jumped straight in the squad to complete a very decent team, but there's one little piece missing, which hopefully improves the puzzle. And that, of course, is changing this man to a right winger, which I thought would do better. Another anti-climax. But unlike last year's 8th place finish, you cannot call this one an anti-climax, as we're above Chelsea and Liverpool. As where did we finish? We finished in 5th position. I wish we would have got Champions League, as we were 1 point off it, and we're out of the FA Cup. Luton beat us there, as Newcastle in the Carabao. Nothing really we didn't expect, as this is how the team looks. Not much game time going to Jack McGlynn, but overall we've got to be happy with how this squad is doing. We've got an 87 rated on either wing, which is extremely good because both of those players are USA internationals, and that's what we need. And top scorer even is an international USA player. 22 goals for Nicholas Gioacchini. He's a brilliant player, but is he gonna cut it to try and win the Europa League at 84 rated? I'm unsure, as I believe this is season number 7 now. Number 6 or number 7? We begin by losing 2 players at the club here. Brandon Keeler and also Caleb Wiley. He hasn't worked out how we wish he would have at the club. And John Stones as well. He's now 35. The player that sparked this huge upturn for Birmingham, unfortunately benched by Dardai, who is a left-footed, so he can go on that side. And I know Paik Sung-hyo is quite an aging player now, 32 years old, but we can replace the players that we need to with 161 million. That's absolutely crazy, as I'm going to be going for a centre-back first. I still want a big, strong one. So this is where I go ahead and bring in Kevin Danzo. He is 30-year-old, but he's 84 overall. And he's a very physical man with a bit of pace about him. Now, the next question is, What do we do for attackers? Of course, wings are sorted, but Nicolas Giacchini, he's 28-year-old now, and even Aston Villa's bid on him. There is no chance we sell to the direct rivals, as I think my next option, Florian Balogun. A similar age, +1 rating though, and he is actually essential because he's another American player replacing an American player. So without further ado, I am going to bring him to the club, but I'm going to keep Giacchini here and make them compete against each other. Maybe they play together for the USA national team, but not under my watch. They play for their place. As I'm going to start with Balogun as the main striker for now, but at least we've got a good option on that bench right here. Speaking of options, don't think I forgot about George Hall and also Jordan James, who's gone +4 at Leipzig. That's quite incredible, as he's also going to be playing in the Champions League this season against Barcelona. He's essentially took a step up from Birmingham City, his home club, but we want to step up by winning that Europa League. And please tell me we have done it. As you can see in the league, Liverpool and Chelsea having a rough patch. That's been 2 years. Same with Manchester United as we finish 4th. The right side of the line. Champions League football for Birmingham City as Plymouth Argyle. Congratulations in the FA Cup. Reaching a final as Leicester win the Carabao. Very good. No big teams taking the wins. And by that I mean humongous teams, as round of 16. Right, we won the Europa League right there, 4-0. Or not in its entirety, but we beat Barcelona, we beat Villarreal, and no, beaten by Atletico. Okay, lads. We haven't won the Europa League, still we're in the Champions League. And that's all that matters for me. As you can see, Florian Balogun, he hasn't been playing. It's been Giacchini. Who knew that that striker just needed a little bit of a push as he makes our American trio. A brilliant team right now, including Timothy Weah, our first 90 rated, Giovanni 89, but he only scores 6 goals. At the top you can see we've got 30 from Tim and 31 from Nicholas, who has fought for his title as starting striker at the club. As you can see, the Champions League final is Inter and Tottenham, which is kind of encouraging, seeing as Tottenham finished below us by 3 points in the end in the Premier League, telling me that almost anything is possible with Birmingham here if we manage to get it right. In the famous words of the best manager of all time, Ted Lasso, you've got to be curious. As I'll link to that in a minute, because I'm curious about signing one player in particular, with Pike getting old. 31 now, the captain, and he would do good on the bench instead of Leandro Bacuna, who I think is at UCL quality. But I tell you what, Jordan James is. He's already been in the UCL now, so he may get a place on the bench if he can stay there. But yes, it's a striker that we're after at the moment. 234 million. That is a lot of money. Will Tom Wagner actually invest that much in real life? I mean, anything is possible, as you've seen right here. And I thoroughly believe anything is possible, because I want to pull off the impossible. Jude Bellingham, a man who was brought up at Birmingham City. I would love to bring him back. 134 evaluation, as I'm going to go into talks right here and offer 180. Don't say no, Ancelotti. He doesn't. He says yes. Right, Jude must want to come back, because I think that's a below the 205 evaluation as well. As every club has a minimum and maximum evaluation, as I don't care about any money talk anymore, because Jude Bellingham is back at his boyhood club, and that number 7, it isn't gonna do. Yes, you better believe he's taking back that retired number that Gio Reyna managed to get. EA, come on, don't give his number away, as we're going to train him back to being a centre mid, so he fits in with our formation, and there is no one else to be added. Or maybe there is, maybe just a bench player in the meantime whilst Bellingham trains. As this is the man I've brought in, I'm a big fan of him in real life. Alfie Doherty of Luton Town. For only 10 million, because we didn't have much left. Now we've got 4 million. but we've spent it very wisely on this man right here, who stays at a 92, but he is now a centre mid, so fits our team perfectly. For the Champions League, of course, and there's so many players on international duty, but I am just loving them ratings. But do you know what I'd love more? Being able to win that Champions League group that we've been placed in. And I did have a pit stop to see if we had a Ballon d'Or nominee. Not just yet, as Spurs 14th, they're the new Chelsea. Aston Villa down there, which we love to see as Birmingham City. Manager, it's second place. Thought it might have been first. We were 11 points off City, but not to worry, you know. We are in the UCL now, which we'll check in a moment as the FA Cup. We actually reached the quarterfinals, but still not doing great in that. Which, seen as Plymouth reached the final not long ago, I think we should be better in, as we made it through our Champs League group into the round of 16, which we lost to Monaco 3-2. How are we losing to Monaco? How? They didn't even reach the final. They were beaten by Inter. What do we have to do? This is such a good team. We've got an 84 rated in the team. That is the lowest. We've got 4 90 rated now, 3 of those being world-class attackers, and Jude Bellingham, who netted 9 goals and 8 assists. A little bit low for him, but still we had 2 players up here with 20+ goals, which we'll need again next season if we are to compete. I mean, we're in the Champions League again, but we've got to do better. As I've no idea how we improve in this season. Season number 8, I believe, with £231 million. We have got to improve and got to win some trophies. Silverware on my mind, as we've lost another defender. Okay, Doherty, you stayed around very long, didn't you? He's run off, as we've got Dardai, who can actually step in the team now. And I am sorry to Buchanan, a day oneer, but ultimately he's 30-year-old now, and we need a better wing-back if we can improve anything, as Ethan Laird's rating on the other side is okay. So a left wing-back, contracts, and maybe some new coaches. As here we go, a flush out, getting the best out of our defence and goalkeeping, hitting full potential on those stars. As all that's needed now is a left wing-back, and I want to go for this man, Theo Hernandez. Getting him through the door adds a bigger improvement to their left back slot. Of course, we'll have to train him again to be a left wing back, but it only takes 2 weeks. That is perfect timing. Lets us see our champs group. As this year, we have to be topping this. Betis, Midtjylland, and FCSB. As I've got my fingers and toes crossed at the start of the end of this season, we've got Chelsea back down in their 15th slot, with Liverpool not that far in front, and then Spurs. We did get Champions League football again, but not winning the league when Brighton win it. Big failure is that, as I wanted to win the Premier League round 3, were beaten by Burnley. That's in the FA Cup, as the Carabao won by City, and we made it to the quarter-finals. Manchester United 2-0, as in Group F of the Champions League. Right, topped the group. 0 beaten, as this time we beat someone in the round of 16 and beat Dortmund in the quarters. Bellingham beating his former boys, as Inter we beat. We've made it to the final, which we will face PSG in. Get in there, Birmingham, though. We have come on a journey, and we're close to finishing it. Of course, the only thing left on the contract, as I'll show you the team again. This is what it looks like. 90 rated all round. Bielik starting to go down, but honestly, this is Champions League worthy. It's been a long rebuild, and we've made Timothy Weah 95 rated, Gio Reyna 94, which is some achievement, as 3 of those are top 3, of course, getting over 20 goals each. Bin all your MSN nonsense. This is the top 3, as we're against that top 3 of Barcola, Mbappe, and Adai, as I'm trusting that one more. Tim, Gio, and Gio to get the job done and make Birmingham champions. As Mbappe in the warm-up, I dread seeing him playing for France at the Euros. Already Euros on my mind, as I need to get my mind off the Euros and onto the Blues right here as we're facing PSG, undoubtedly one of the best teams this season. Still Mbappe up front, and I think Adai does grow to be a good player as we've got to play to our wing play philosophy. As it seems to work here, we've got Weah all the way up to the goal. It's gone to Jack McGlynn. Good save, Donnarumma. A very good save, as here he goes, Adai. He's definitely a good player. He's absolutely shredded Theo Hernandez, but he stood him up in the end, as we've got to get this ball. Bielik, come on, Bielik. You're the captain for a reason. Didn't give it to Jude because Christopher's been here all the way, of course, since the League One days. That's a bad touch. Timothy Weah's got to be better, but Jack McGlynn to clean up now. Through to Gioacchini, who's gonna cut inside. Still unlucky right there, and it's been a very quick half, you know, but Gioacchini on the break. Last couple of minutes right here, he's got Mbappe, the one chasing him. He's going to be very, very quick. So we're going to try and put the cross in, and it's not the greatest of balls. Be the last chance this of the half as Timothy Weah. It's over everyone's head and missed by Bellingham. Still a very close one, and I've got to say, Jude Bellingham, although his heat map will be insane, his passing's been rotten. Yes, he's got his press right, as that was a dodgy bit of business in the box, but he's just not got his passing right. As even then he couldn't release Giovanni Reina in time, as now Bradley Barcola. It's through to Kylian Mbappe. PSG sneaking into this game. A brilliant block from the Hungarian though. Dardai onto Bellingham. That's a better pass from him. Onto Gioacchini, who's just going to charge at the side of the defender, and he's going to pass it across. What a save, Donnarumma. Especially at this time of the game as Ethan led into Dardai, Jude Bellingham. Can he have an impact? Jude going through the middle. It's Bellingham on his own. He tries to have a hammer. Still no luck for Jude as Gio again on the run. If Jack McGlynn's timed that to perfection, that is a cracking ball as Gioacchini. He's missed it. I don't believe it. And I've just took him off the field as well. We've put Florian Balogun on as that's a good ball into Bielik. Still unable to do anything with it in the end though. 0-0 going into extra time, which I absolutely hate. As I don't think PSG will be missing penalties, do you? They've got Kylian Mbappe. They've got a lot of attacking players, whereas we've got 5 defenders here, and Pedri trying to get past them. A good tackle from Bielik. He's grown into the game a little bit more. As come on, give us something to shout about. Jude Bellingham, try and get around his man. He's going to try and chip that over the top. The ball still falls back to him. Balogun not on his toes though, and that is half-time. An absolutely boring 90 minutes and 15 right there. Just hoping something happens still to stop this going all the way to penalties as Barcola, a terrible lunge from Ethan led, but covered by Dardai. What a man, what a Hungarian beast. As Gio Reyna looks straight away for Balogun, who does take the ball down, and Balogun, you know, is looking for the angle, and it's off the post and in. The camera has just died, but Florian Balogun doesn't. What a finish it is! As we're going to have to watch it this way, I had to put the camera on charge. It's brilliant footwork, you know. And in off the post. How sly was that? I mean, it's going to be a robbery here, but we need to get it over the line. It's a bad tackle, you know, but the referee blows the whistle, bringing the game to an end. And Birmingham City have won the Champions League. Get in there, lads. That is the contract ticked off. We have done the job that Wagner wanted us to do. As there's only one thing for it now, and that is Christopher Bielik lifting this Champions League trophy. Shame it's in the away kit, but get in there, lads. If you have enjoyed this one and you want a kit like this one, of course, link in the description. As also the comments are down there as well if you have any suggestions. And there's 2 videos right here if you don't have anything else to watch.